Alright, I'm back. Now we've got somewhat better audio. I've plugged in a dedicated microphone. The microphone in the overhead cam is a bit shit. It's got all sorts of processing you can't disable. So yeah, I've just got a USB mic now, large diaphragm condenser. It's a Blue Yeti. Sounds like a sexually transmitted disease. Got the Blue Yeti. But yeah, it sounds a bit better. So hopefully it's a little bit less distorted sounding and easier to watch. So here we've got another Vox AC30. This is an older one than the last one. It looks like it's a... Let's have a look. So it looks like it's a... Where is it? 73 to 78. So it's Dallas era. It says Dallas on the box. And it's hand wired. So it's no circuit board. They started making circuit boards in 76. This one was still hand wired. So that was somewhere between 73 and 76. There's a lot of stuff that's not stock on it. There's been modifications implemented by who knows who, primarily in the output section. I'll just grab a pointy thingy. So it looks like these diodes aren't stock because they've just been mangled. They were put in a long time ago though, not very well mind you. But yeah, they're starting to corrode. Everything's sort of, all the leads are corroded, so I'm going to change out pretty much all of this. Let's test what these screen grid resistors come up as in terms of resistance. I don't like carbon composition. You can see the brown color of them. That means they're carbon composition. They break down over time. They drift in value, and they can physically just fall apart too with vibration. They're a little bit non-linear under high voltage, so people say they sound cool, but I'd rather an amp that doesn't blow up than, you know, hear 0.3 of a decibel of coolness added to the sound. Anyway, so it's 102 ohm. There's supposed to be 100 ohm. That's not bad. 105. That's cool. 104. That's cool. So they're pretty close. They're pretty good. 106. That's all within tolerance. There'd be 10 percenters. You've got your dropper resistor here. That should be, oh, that's charging up a cap, so that's not going to give us a correct reading, but 22 is settling down to 23, so that's pretty good. It's supposed to be 22k. We've got a cathode bias cap here, 47 ohm. You remember the last Vox we looked at, it was 50 ohm. So 47, yeah, 47.3, that's bang on. Might be able to reuse that. Although I'll see, the way it's been connected is a bit dodgy. They've linked a wire on there and it's pretty stiff. Like, it's a pretty good mechanical connection. It's not loose, but yeah, there's some dodginess happening under that wire, under that heat shrink there. And then we've got a 22 ohm dropper here with a loose wire under it. That's good. And that's coming up to 21 ohms, so that's not bad. This wire here, that's connected to one of your high voltage nodes. Clearly, it's supposed to go. Well, that's a different type of wire. That's not the single core stiff stuff. That's an aftermarket edition here. I'll just zoom out and just realised you can't see what I'm talking about. So this orange wire, that was just floating around in the chassis, man. It had high voltage on it and a bare end. It's like whoever worked on it last it was supposed to be soldered up to a node up here somewhere, up to a supply point up here somewhere, and they just didn't connect it. So that could have shorted out the whole works, but somehow it didn't. Like, I didn't cut that. That was stuffed up in here, and it was just floating around in the chassis. Very unsafe and very detrimental to the life expectancy of the amp. So I'm guessing it used to go there, but I'll trace the circuit out. At the moment, I just want to do a bit of, getting rid of the detritus. So there's a lot of stuff that's been done on this that I'm not happy with. It's crappy low quality caps everywhere. From J-Car, by the looks of it, there's what looks like extension cord wire and just stuff twisted together. The biggest issue is the chassis mount caps that came in this thing. There's one back here and there's one there. There were 3 section caps, and they were 3 by 30 microfarad, I believe. I'll have to pull out the schematic, but they're really hard to find. There is a company that makes them, similar to the originals, but they're rated at 55 degrees Celsius. So, like, a hot day in summer in Sydney gets to 45. So before you've even turned the amp on, you're 10 degrees below the temperature rating of the cap, which is friggin' ridiculous. But anyway, so I don't want to buy them, and not to mention the fact that they're about $80 per capacitor, which isn't cost effective. So what I'm going to do is I am going to mount 2 dual section capacitors, which are easy to find. But then we're short by two capacitors, right? So I'm going to mount another one to this point, a dual axial. So I'll be able to mount, I'll replace this. That's the bypass cap for the output stage. I'll replace that, probably put that over there and put another multi-section axial here and just hardwire that. So that's your last 2. I'll probably make them the preamp nodes, and I'll come up with a wiring scheme anyway, but I want to just make it so you can get easily sourceable parts. You're always going to be able to get dual section radials and can caps and dual section axials because they're just in so many amps, and just come up with a good way of mounting them. I've got to change the wiring scheme a little bit to suit them, so I'll just come up with a way that's going to be noise free and just logical in terms of layout, not too long a run. Voxes are always a bit of a pain in the ass because you've got half a circuit down here, half a circuit up here. It's not so bad on this model because it's not the reverb model. The reverb one, the Rose Morris era one, which you may have seen me lose a lot of hair over about 6 months ago. This one's a bit before that. They've got a board here that's got the reverb return circuit, and drive circuit, I think. So all of a sudden you've got a massive high gain, high impedance return line here, right next to all the power. It's a nightmare. You can only get the hum so low in those things without drastically redesigning them. These ones are a bit better for noise floor because you don't have that extra high impedance, high gain circuitry happening there, which is always in the signal chain. So yeah, someone's made each valve independently biasable. I've got to look at even how they did that, what they were thinking. That's totally not stock. So I'm just going to rip all that out. I'm not even really going to bother looking at why they did it because you get a match quad of tubes. It's a little bit like $80. You know, it doesn't even really cost you much more to match them. It's like if you buy an individual tube from my supplier anyway. If you buy an individual tube, you just multiply it by 4, and that's the price of a match quad. And it's about the same price. So you just get match quads, eh? So yeah, I'm going to get rid of all of that. The next problem is, which happens a lot on amps this vintage, all the pins are corroded, so solder doesn't like taking to them, and the stock solder joints don't look real crash hot either. So I'm not real confident about using those sockets again. Plus, if they're corroded on the pins, which are facing, because this is upside down, normally sits like that. So if the pins that you solder to are corroded, well, the sockets that are facing up probably have heaps more crap in them. So I'm just going to replace the sockets. There's some high quality Belton ones. The guy that owns this amp, it's not a collector amp, but he's a player. He wants it reliable. Not so much worrying about everything being stock. I mean, it's not stock anyway, how it is. Someone's hacked the living shit out of it. So I'm going to return it closer to stock, but also future-proof it, make it more reliable, and if I find anything else silly in here, I'll reverse that too. And check all the things like the coupling caps. They're all these mustard things. They often form cracks. Actually, I can see right there, there's a few little cracks in their insulation. So that they're coating whatever it is, some kind of plastic or paint or enamel maybe. It cracks over time as it shrinks or whatever. Oh, there's a knob fell off. That's good, isn't it? It cracks and then moisture gets in there, and then literally like just ambient humidity gets within the foils of the cap, and that makes it not as good as an insulator. So then it starts to break down, starts to leak voltage, and that's bad, particularly for the output stage, but for your tone controls, everything. If you've got DC leaking past those caps, it causes damage to the next stage, because their job is to block the DC voltage and just allow the signal through. If they're allowing DC as well, it can damage things further down. So yeah, right there, that one, you can see right there, it's cracked. So I dare say there's going to be a lot of these coupling caps that need replacing. I'm not going to go crazy and replace everything if I don't have to, but I'll be testing each one to make sure that that they're not leaking, and if they do show physical evidence of cracking, like that one there does. Oh, look at that, I'm already centered on it. Yeah! Got my video game strong today. You can see the little lines across that cap there. That's cracks in the outer casing, so that will allow moisture in and means that cap's not long for this life. It looks like there's some radial caps there that have been replaced by someone. They don't look stock. Eltie, I don't know. Probably piss them off. Never heard of the brand, so I don't trust it. But there's the little mustard caps I was talking about, because they're mustard coloured. They call them mustard caps. And there's some little blue ones there too, which are similar. And all the resistors, carbon comps everywhere. There's a few, probably carbon film, the blue ones. I'll be checking all the plate resistors, because if they're drifted or if they're starting to break down, they'll go noisy and they'll give you lots of hiss that you don't need. You can see here, that multi-section cap has just been hacked together out of 3 radials. They're Jamicon, which is a shit brand from J-Car, generic Chinese crap. I mean, you know, everything's made in China now anyway, but they're crap China stuff, trying to make good and bad stuff. It looks like all the switch connections here are original, because it's got the brown paint on them. That ground connection there, I don't like how short that is. And I don't like the fact that it's mounted to something that's used for something else. So I'll probably drill another hole and put a dedicated ground for that. And I want to strip more of that cable off and have the earth lead longer than the active and neutral, because if you pull the lead out, someone trips over it, goes to fall over, someone grabs the lead to stop it from falling over. I want those two connections to rip off first and still have the ground attached. If they all rip off, or if the ground rips off first, you got no ground, your chassis could end up live, which is dangerous. Or even worse, if they fall off, if the earth falls off and then one of them touches the chassis, your chassis is definitely live and full live, like not just leakage, it's got fucking 240 volts on it. As soon as you go to grab the amp, pick it up again, you'll get a shock. And if you live to tell the tale, good for you. So, a fair bit of work in this one. I've had it for a while. I'm still waiting on a few parts. I had to order a fair bit of stuff for it, some cosmetic as well, because I'm restoring the cabinet, replacing the grill cloth, replacing the vents. There's some broken handles on top. I've gotten some similar plastic handles with the Vox pattern on them. And putting some new feet on there, a few fix-ups to the Tilex and just a general clean. The speakers appear to be okay. I tested them, gave them a bit of signal, and there's no weird buzzes or noises or anything, and they measured the right impedance, so they're good to go. So full overhaul on this thing, eh? Big job. Gonna give her a revalve on the output stage. Eddie Cron EL84s. They're well cooked. Oh, there's a date on this one. 10th of the 8th, 98. Someone's texted a date on there that's burnt off, but you can still see the residual texture. Yugoslavia. It's not even a country anymore, is it? Same date on that one. So it looks like these are pretty old even for 98 standards, so these would have been new old stock. 98. People knew about new old stock valves back then. I don't know what that date code means. D7JG6 doesn't mean stuff all to me. I don't know why I'm putting them in. I'll just take them out, eh? But yeah, they look cooked. Usual, those sockets are a little bit loose too. Usual little scorch marks around the inside from bits of the cathode flying out and condensing on the glass. So I'll be replacing all of them. I mean, they look like they were quality tubes, but they're just thrashed. So I'll be replacing all of them, and you see how hot that one's got. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, see that brown blast on the glass there? That's on the inside of the glass. So that's literally the coating on the cathode boiling off and getting shot out at the glass with the electrons. And yeah, it means they'd be pretty tired. They'd be struggling. So piss them off, get some new ones in there, and in the process, bring it up to date so it can run new tubes in there without destroying them, because the old ones probably copped it, whereas new ones won't. Now a few things. This is a modification. It's got some Dymo labels on there. I haven't even looked into what it is. I will. I don't know if it's just an on or off for the vibrato, but anyway, I'm going to return the vibrato circuit to stock. So that'll require figuring out what they've done here and then reversing it and putting the circuit back in as it should be. There's a Marshall style socket on there, so someone's replaced that at some point. I'll probably replace all of them because they look pretty manky. And the well, that's going to be a nightmare. The connectors are pretty corroded. The contactors inside. So that's, you know, I could probably clean them off, but may as well replace them. These pots have been cleaned many times in their life, and now they got like almost no resistance. Like you just tickle them and they move. And the problem with that is, by reports of the owner, because he plays this thing cranked, he plays rock and roll proper. The knobs are turning by themselves from the vibration of the cab while he's playing. So he's playing away, and all of a sudden he hears the bass go through the roof, or the treble die down. The pots are moving by themselves because of the vibration in the amp while he's playing. So that would be interesting. It's a built-in effect. So the problem is the pots come with lubrication inside them, but in form of a grease, which actually slows them down a little bit, their action. Offers some sort of resistance. So it's a nice feel, you know, like it's a gradual, it's got a bit of resistance to you. And yeah, it's just a positive action to using them, whereas now they just flip around. As the pots get scratchy, people spray something like this in there. That's one of them. Cleans the pot out, but it also is a solvent for the grease. So the grease gets watered down and pushed out of the pot over time. And the more and more times you do it, the less and less grease is in there. So now there's no resistance at all. So the only real way to fix that is replace the pot. I'm not going to even think about packing new grease in there when a pot's like $5. So I'll replace some pots, and yeah, they're all pretty well the same. They've all been cleaned a million times. So I hope I don't have to replace all of them, but I might have to. Looks like there's CTS. Well, that's not stock. That's old mate who worked on this must have loved J-Car, because that's another device J-Car's known for. The really crappy rotary switches. So I'll maybe replace that too. I kind of want to go the extra mile on this one because he's a good customer, and I like seeing him having a reliable amp and being happy with it. So there's nothing worse than stuff coming back. You know, this cut off stuff everywhere. So whoever modified it has left wires from where his modified stuff, cut it, left it off. You can see there's loose stuff everywhere. There's a random resistor floating around there. There's another random resistor not connected to anything there. There's this pot here which I'm not sure is stock, but that might be the tremolo depth trim pot. See if that's working. There's those wires that I've got to reconnect. It looks like the tremolo circuit's still in place. That's the vibrato phase shift network up there. So it looks like the guts of the circuit are still in place. He's just disconnected it and put some mod in there so he can use. That's interesting. So that mod on and off. That's got the brown paint on the connections too. So maybe that brown paint isn't stock. So it goes up here. I think that's just a standby switch he's put on there. It's brown. So that's your plate. Yeah, I think that's just a standby switch, which is stupid because standby's for fucking cockheads anyway. Don't worry about standby. Just switch your amp on. It's just a hangover from a bygone era. You don't really need it. The only time you got to heat your valves up before giving plate voltage is in like 3,000 watt radio transmitters. Don't worry about it. Just flick your amp on. Get on with it. If you want to mute it, get a tuner pedal or turn your volume down. Yeah, anyway. So let's get started on ripping out this output section. Let's get the cutters out, get them angry. Let me know how it's sounding too with that new mic. I hope you can't hear every little breath and salivary noise, because that could be awkward. Alright, let's zoom in. Let's get to work. Go this way a bit. This is going to be fun, cutting all this crap out. Alright, I want to take a few photos first. Bit bright. Disconnect some stuff. I might get this board out first, or yeah. Get my tweezers. It's almost time for another coffee, I think. Cup of tea's just not cutting it. Crank up my temp a bit. Get some fresh solder in there. The old solder goes kind of dull and corroded after a while, and it's hard to get it to wet again, melt it properly. Looks like this amp probably hasn't been open for at least 10 years. And when it was open last time, it had some horrible shit done to it. I mean, a lot of this stuff wasn't seen as valuable 10, 15, 20 years ago. Trends change, so people modify stuff, go, who cares, it's only one of these, one of those. But then in time, market changes and things become valuable again, or some artist starts using them, like John Mayer or someone, and these days, and all of a sudden shit becomes valuable again. So you sort of got to be careful about modifying stuff. I mean, I know that, like, there's not going to be a market for valve states one day, but there is a limit to it, but you never know. Hope that desoldering gun isn't deafening everyone too much. Dodgy connection down there. I'm going to strip this board and basically redo it all. Put modern components in there, stuff we can trust, and reinstall it. Get rid of all that adjustable stuff up there, all this shit. Return it to just your average cathode biased AC30 output stage. We'll do the usual mods to calm down the bias a bit, like I was saying. So that means 1 kilo ohm screen grid resistors, and we'll check the droppers and see if we want to play with the value of them, and maybe fine tune the bias in a little bit. not too far. We don't have to go crazy with it, but just so it's not going to burn the shit out of the output tubes. One more on this side. Alright. One more. Missed one. It's not connected to anything anyway, but... What is that? Just another ground connection. Oh no, yeah, it's connected. There's stuff happening under the board which you can't really see. I'll get some obsessive compulsive wiring happening when I put it back together. Everyone loves seeing that. Alright. Might completely remove this board. So I might just snip the other connections because I'm going to replace those little wires anyway. Not going to do all this work and then save a quarter of a third of a cent on half an inch of wire. It's connected to a nut on the opposite side of the chassis. The screw hiding under that resistor there. I'm going to give the chassis a bit of a clean too, that just gets that Vox grime on it because the vents in the cabinet allow shit to fall down on top of the chassis, so you just get this grimy, just years and years of just dust and spilt drinks and cigarettes, smoke and ash and stuff over years. A lot of these guys don't smoke, but it doesn't mean that their bandmates or rehearsal partners don't. These old amps, they came from an era where everyone smoked. Piss that off as well. Oh, what am I doing? Just cut it, eh? Here's our board. Oop. Screw there. So that's pretty much the output stage board. Pretty old school, hand wired. So I'm going to strip everything off that and redo it from scratch because I want to clean all the connections. Give it a little bit of an alcohol bath to clean off the residue, flux residue from 40 years ago. Alright, so I'm going to replace that, so I'll piss that off too. I thought that was a self-tapper, but no, it's got a nut as well. Now, I'm going to need to get a socket onto that one. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. In the bin with you. Now some of these connections go straight to the output tranny, so I don't really want to snip them because they're already Only got so much play. So I'll just desolder them. Try and be pretty quick with the heat. Because that insulation seems, I don't know what it is about Vox amps, but it seems to melt really quick. So you've actually got to have a hotter than expected iron, get in there quick and get out. If you sit there all day, like just 5 seconds on there and I can already smell the insulation, the plasticky melty smell. It's a lot easier to get in and get out quick with a lot of heat than it is to sit there for 5-10 seconds with not enough heat, because that seems to melt the insulation more. What am I giving you all my free tips for? Right, so I just got to bend everything in. I'll probably redo the heater wiring just because I know how impossible it is to get that off without melting everything and reconnect it and still have it good. So I'm just going to cut that straight off and redo it. Guys that work on Vox amps, I understand. Yep, you just cut it out. Do it again. Can't save it. Because everything's wrapped around the posts 2 or 3 times. So you can't, once you've undone it, especially with solid core, you try and reuse that, it'll probably snap. And then it just looks shit because the end of the insulation's burnt, and just replace it. Oh, that's already looking a bit neater, isn't it? Cut off all of these. Give it the hard goodbye. Jog on, mate. In it. Oh, fuck, that feels good. Snip that off for now. So it's the other problems with Voxes is the transformer wiring seems to corrode. Must be from moisture. Ah, there we go. Look at that. So there's like this green jelly shit. Oh, look at that. It's coming out of the jacket, the insulation. And yeah, I don't know where it comes from, but I've seen it on all the old Voxes, and it's not good because it's real hard to connect to that wire again. The solder just doesn't take to it. You almost need some kind of acid flux or something to clean it off. Pardon me. And shit boils and stinks. Seems to be coming like out of the jacket, like it was in the original wiring. It could have been the original flux. It might have been pre-tin wire, and the flux is corrosive. They might have chosen the wrong flux for that. But yeah, look at that. It's disgusting. Try and clean it off with alcohol, but I'll try not to take any more off that wire than I need to, because we've already got a pretty good tinned connection there, so I might just try and hang on to that and not be too rough with that wiring. Try and preserve it. So here's our other heater connections. That goes off to the rest of the preamp. That can stay as is. Just disconnect it for now though. Alright, that's our ground reference for the heater. The center tap, sorry. Look at the green shit you get all over your hands. Something out of trapdoor. Tweezers. Yeah. I might replace the... Well, I will get rid of the heater center tap and put an artificial center tap on it. So to see, the jacket just falls off. You know, if I was on there for what, 5-10 seconds and the jacket's just melted and fallen off. That's why you got to replace the wiring. Where was I? Oh yeah, the heater wiring. The heater's artificial center tap I might put on there. 200 ohm resistors to ground. Fusible resistors. So if there is a high tension short to the heater, through whatever means, they'll fuse open. So then there's no direct connection to ground via the heater windings. So it's a level of safety, but it also reduces hum. And it allows you to, you can actually reference it to the cathodes, thereby elevating the ground a bit for even less noise. But that's only really critical for high gain designs, which this ain't one of. Being a non-master volume amp. Gotcha. That tag strip's a bit tired. I'll replace that with a quality one as well. I'll put a little mini turret there. Something real classy, like, you know. A couple of standoffs there for under the board. Hang on to them. Now look at that. Blank canvas. Just about. I'll piss off this this wiring to that modification on the front panel, the standby switch. Thread that through and get rid of it. And return it back to the tremolo pot. Tremolo or vibrato. This has both switchable. Tremolo is just purely modulation of the volume, whereas vibrato is slight modulation of the pitch via phase shifting. Look at that cute little tag strip there. That's going in the bin. Piss off this hideous capacitor setup. Okay, where's that going? That's going to... what the... Oh, that's not the bloody... That's not the bypass cap. That's a 450 volter. It's another filter node. And that goes black. It goes to the choke. So that's coming from the screen supply. Thought that was a bypass cap. Where's the bypass cap then? Ain't on there. Don't tell me it didn't have one. What the fuck? Oh, that's still my head in now. I'm sure I didn't snip out a bypass cap. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that one goes to the Ooh, shit. Anyway, I'm going to have to trace that out, but in the meantime, we'll just change those sockets over. I have to tilt it forwards for that. These things are a pain in the ass to work on. They're just self-tappers. It's nice and easy. Click. I'll reduce my little headshot over there, eh? Don't need to see me. Oh, gotcha. One socket. You can see there how corroded the things get. Just the legs. There's no way you solder into that again. They're just rusted to shit. And you can imagine the pin contacts would be about the same. Not reliable. Hang on to the little tube retainers. They're pretty cool, those ones actually. They've got an actual little hole in the top there. I wish they still made them like that. Lewis Spring. It's a brand. Yeah, they're good. I wish someone had made in England. Huh. Registration number 982934. They're pretty cool. I wish you could still get new ones of them. The ones everyone uses these days, they're made from wire, and they don't hold them real positively. They can work themselves loose too. Goodbye shitty sockets. Just get a container for the bits and pieces. One for the rubbish, one for the good stuff. I like to give all the parts back to the customers in a little bag of shame. Just so they can see that I'm not like taking out their boutique new old stock valves and selling them on the second-hand market or something. Don't get me wrong, there's probably guys out there that do that, but I'm not one of them. You see some listings on eBay for valves that are like clearly dead, just like these ones, you know, like got scorch marks on them and been thrashed for 20 years without much respect, and people are charging like $300 for a set of tired ass valves, and people pay it. What? Anyway, spend too much time on forums. Tea's gone cold. Lovely. Right. Take out this dodgy capacitor arrangement next. There's another one down there you can see. They're starting to bulge too. Might do some more disconnecting first. Up there, you can see that. Snippity doo dah. Yeah. The old handyman splice. Not real reliable. It's lasted in this case, but why risk it, eh? Do it properly. Snip that off. Plenty of length on that line. Just grab the tube sockets. '70s UK, metric or imperial, who knows? Can't get to it because it's covered in solder. That's brass, so that's going to be imperial. 1/4 inch. Bingo. Look at the pussy little tag strip. It's about half the size of a normal one. It's got all the high tension on it. Good on yous. Now you can see the MacGyvering this guy's done. Don't have the correct parts. just duct taped together, electrical tape together some crappy J-car caps, and away you go. That'll probably work for 10 years. Again, doesn't mean it's a good idea. A lot of these dodgy ideas, yeah, they work until they don't. That looks alright, probably reusable. I got new ones anyway, but that clamp probably looks better quality than the one I've got, so I might bash that flat again and reuse that because it's a bit taller. The other ones are only about half that height. Not bad, not bad. Get rid of that tube to get to that nut. See, there's all indescript fluid on the valve socket too, which is a worry. Someone's probably used WD-40 or something where it doesn't all evaporate. That could also be that weird green corrosion shit again, coming from the wiring. It looks like some kind of grease, oily stuff. Hopefully we can clean all that off, and those sockets are okay, because I really don't want to replace all the preamp sockets. That's a massive job. And like all massive jobs, I didn't quote for it. Is anyone out there? Anyone watching? Oh, Dylan. How you going, mate? If you're still there. Yeah. Anyway, just have a look at that preamp tube quickly. And ERA, ECC32. The getter flash looks a bit funny around the edge, like it's starting to go gassy. And being ancient, it probably is. I'll pop it back in for now while I do the grunt work. And we'll go through all of them later on. This is going to be a several day job. And that's once I get all the parts in. I've basically got to redo the whole second half of the amp. There'll be guys there going, oh, it's overkill, you just don't have to do that. Fuck off. You're not the one that deals with it when it comes back. Let's get some solvent. Good old paint thinners. Isopropyl's nowhere near rock and roll enough. I've got a guitar at the moment, and as soon as I picked up the case, just a gig bag, just smelled piss, just didn't smell like cat or dog piss too. Don't ask me how I know the difference, but it just smelled like human piss. Ugh. What the fuck do people do to their instruments? This one's good. That's just your usual Vox schmoo. That's alright. That's been relatively taken care of. It's good. It's just with vents on the top, they end up with stuff in them no matter what you do. But this guitar, man, there's in the bag where you keep your music books and cables and stuff. There's just cockroach eggs. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to hang it from the clothesline, just hose it out, and then put it through the wash. I didn't quote for that, but I'm not. How can I give that back to someone with a straight face? Like, that person's such a grot that they probably don't give a shit. But I'm not putting a guitar in a case that's got cockroach eggs in it. People are frigged. Right, flip her over, we'll clean the same area, and we'll pull out some nice new Belton sockets to jam in there. They've numbered the valves. Whoever worked on it before has written in text to 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, mate. Can't you see what it's attached to? Yeah, look at that. See, I'm hoping the rest of the parts get here tomorrow, because today's a public holiday in Australia. I know there's some international people who watch this. It's Queen's birthday, but it's not really the Queen's birthday. So, I don't know, figure that one out. It's like horses' birthdays. Just go, oh, fuck it, we'll just have them all on the same day. Easy to remember. And slowly clean it up. It's really baked on, like literally it feels like cleaning an oven tray around those tubes, because all the dust would have literally been cooked on there by the tubes getting so hot next to it. Nice. Nice and smooth. No crap stuck to it. It's starting to even look a little bit shiny again. Good stuff. Alright. Harvest some tube sockets. Get out some new screws. Probably using. I might use the self tappers again. I'm not real keen on them, but it would be a lot easier. Oh, look at them, beautiful. Belton goodness, genuine. So that's Micolex, they call it. It's a resin, it's a thermoset plastic. Thermoset or thermoplastic? I always forget which one. One of them doesn't melt again anyway, and the other one does. This is one that doesn't. And it's got mica in it to increase the dielectric performance. I believe they're probably nickel plated contacts. Yeah, they're good. So they mount there, they mount from underneath models. So that actually makes it tricky with our self tappers. We can't use them. I could use them from the other side, I guess, but see how they take. I'm crowding myself with too much stuff again. So the heater contacts, which is pin 4 and 5, are closest to this side because the heater wiring was running in the corner of the chassis on the inside here. So we have to put them with pin 4 and 5 pointing up. They fit nice. Yeah, looking good. So to use these again, I'm gonna have to drill out those holes and put actual machine screws through, because the self-tappers thread into the chassis and they wouldn't have a nut on the other side. In that case, there'd be nothing to hold them there, because these mount from the bottom, whereas the old ones mounted from the top. We're gonna have to change the way we're doing it a bit. So I'll drill out those holes and we'll put some M3 6mm, 6 or 8, see which one works. M3 machine screws through with a nylock nut, lock nut. Yeah, I might go take a break for a minute. I feel like another coffee. I didn't have breakfast yet either. I might have breakfast too. And I'll be back in a minute. Oh, Jesse Davidson's still there. How you going, Jesse? Go to bed, mate. Anyway, back in a tick.